So what I want to go over with Mike is, as we got Mike here, hopefully he ain't too cold now, is a big key to a lot of people's setup is making sure they know how to use their belt when they're taking real weight. So a lot of you guys probably already know this stuff, but Mike, if you want to try to kind of lead us through your process as you set up, I think it'd be real helpful.
Yeah, Cory's talking about the process of maybe a tradition or superstition or whatever. It's just a routine that you do before every lift. I think is super important. Similar to squatting every day, similar to being sore or squatting not as well if you're doing it once a week. It's because you need practice. I'm not much of a golfer, never will be, but if I was, I'm not going to the driving range once a week. Yeah, I played a lot of basketball growing up, 15 years. You don't dribble a basketball once a week. Yep. Right, you're dribbling a basketball every day, you're shooting free throws every day, you're getting jumpers up every day. So similar to squat, maybe every day is not for everyone, as Cory said, but you do have to treat it like a skill, you have to treat it like a practice. So, you know, NBA players shouting out to their homies, dribbling the ball 3 times, spinning it on their finger. It's just a routine they do every single time to get ready to lift. So first thing for my setup is always with the grip. I'm always going with these power bars. I don't know what bar this is, and every gym has a different bar, but majority of powerlifting gyms have a power bar, and they're all standard. So figure out what works for you, but you're figuring out your grip, you're putting your hand in there. From there, I'm figuring out as tight as I could get from the top of my head all the way down.
Mike, what's that mean? Because we all hear the big powerlifters go, stay tight, Mike.
Right, which is a great thing. And cueing is something coaches do, and crowds say, but if you don't know what's behind that cue, and if the lifter doesn't and the coach doesn't, we're getting nowhere. So for me, that literally means flex. So when I get my grip set, wherever it might be, I'm squeezing the bar as tight as I can. Right? That's going to flex my forearms, it's going to flex my bicep. From there, I'm going to pinch my shoulder blades together, pull my elbows towards my body as tight as humanly possible. Right? So that's all getting tight. So it's flexing my lats, flexing my rear delts, getting that bar to just sit on my back. Because the less I have to worry about up here, the more I can just push with my legs. From there, it's going to be the belt, as Cory mentioned. I'm going to breathe almost below my belt, but thinking about breathing around my entire core, so my sides, my low back. Yeah, you can't really breathe into your low back, you're breathing into your lungs, but what I'm trying to do is fill air into this belt and flex. Once again, as much as I can stabilize between my hip and my shoulder, the more I can transfer that power from the ground into my body.
It makes your base wider, so if you can push in the belt as hard as you humanly can and fill all that air like below your diaphragm basically, you can create such a stable environment for a real load that's on your back. Because if your base is wider, you're going to be stronger. Most everybody's probably legs are strong enough to push the weight, but they can't brace properly. And when you push into that belt, it stabilizes everything, and honestly, it'll help you stay injury-free too long term, I think.
Yeah, squatting is a big skill. You know, in the CrossFit community, in the fitness community, weightlifting, Olympic weightlifting is becoming very popular, and everyone says like, powerlifting, there's no technique, weightlifting is all technique. And no doubt it's more complex to do a snatch and a clean and jerk, but there's a lot of skill, balance, coordination involved with this, and that's why we go through that routine, and we practice it as a skill. You can improve in many ways. You can improve by, you know, how much force you can produce with your muscles and how many muscle fibers you can fire. You can build bigger muscles. Volume training, bodybuilding, and then you can also just get better at the skill. So those are 3 different things you can work on every single workout to get better at lifting, rather than just thrashing yourself praying that you'll lift more weight the next week. From there, going back to the setup, as efficient as I can, I want to get into a stance that I'm comfortable squatting in. That's different for everybody.
Routine's huge, Mike. You said, like, I set up my squat, front squat or back squat, the same way every time. So if you come to a meet to watch me, like, you're gonna see the same squat that you saw in the gym on Wednesday, you're gonna see on the platform, because that's what can throw you off even more. If you set up under the bar, you set up into the bar, whatever you do, you walk out, you take 1 step, you take 2 steps, like, you cannot be schizo on the platform or in your training. You have to have it dialed in so you know it's the same every time. I think it's real important.
Yeah, and not only the same, but as efficient as possible. So people talk about a 2-step out and a 3-step out in different ways to back up from the rack so you don't hit it. Just do what's best for you and the least amount of steps you can. It's not only safer, but it's going to waste less energy, get you set up quicker. From there, I'm bracing again. Because I had to brace to get this weight off this rack, all ½ inch of it, and then now I have to take this thing for a ride. So I have to get as tight as I can again. So even though I'm flexing the entire time, I'm going to try to flex even harder. And from there, because I've been doing this, I don't know, a very long time, 8 years or something, squatting. From there, personally, all I do is think about driving my back into this bar as hard as humanly possible and hope I don't break anything. You think that's funny over there? And for others, that might be different things. If you're more of a beginner, you might have to think about maybe forcing your knees out. You may have to think about holding your breath the whole time and bracing. You might have to think about keeping your head up or your chest up or different cues. And that's kind of where personal things come along as a coach. And that's kind of why a coach is there to hopefully guide you through those things. And that, honestly, kind of like Cory said, experimenting on himself to become a good coach. You just kind of not experiment on other people, but I've been lucky enough to be in front of a lot of crowds like this and see a lot of different people lift, and I see different things, different types of movements, and it's just kind of experience in years to see how different people move. I can see someone walk through the gym and like, that guy knows how to squat. That guy doesn't know how to squat. Just by movement patterns that I've seen years after years after years. So if you're a trainer, back in the day when I got started, it was at the commercial gym, kind of like I'm sure Cory's background, and you just start training people. One, I wanted to make money, so I'll try to coach as many people as I could, and two, I knew that the more people I could get in front of, the more people I could work with, the better I was going to be. I wanted to work with a 70-year-old lady. I wanted to work with a 15-year-old kid. I wanted to work with somebody who was overweight, underweight, oversized, undersized, whatever it might be, so I could see movement patterns and hopefully guide them all through success through the time.
Well, I think coming back to what Mike said too, don't want it to get cold, Mike, so you probably want to get another squat in, is like testing on yourself is so key. Because one thing that bothers me more than anything, as I feel like a leader in this industry, is somebody asks me a question and I can't answer it. Now, I don't have to answer it at the level of what Julie did for the CrossFit Games or what Mike's done on his lifts, but I've lived it enough that I can answer how it applies to me. I'm not breaking world records. I mean, no question, on anything I do. I'm about a little bit better than average at most things. But if you can talk about your process, that's the key. The big part of the reason why I'm standing here is because I've told the story. Doesn't mean the story's been unbelievable, it's just the story. I got some pretty good stories from time to time, but for the most part it's about your path. And so as you try things on your own and test stuff, that's part of your story. That's what's gonna pump up the people that come to your gym or that look for you to advice. That is part of the key of what a lot of people are missing. And so I just want you guys to be conscious of that. All right, Mike, let's go. Wake your ass up, Mike! Come on!
Everybody wanna come to me like it was some disease, but you won't get a quote from me, cause I'm from the streets of I told them all. Who you think helped more than more? Now you wanna run around talking about girls like I ain't nothing. What you got so long? Cause I stay well off. Now I wanna do the same mail all day saying Drake fell off. Cause I've been in the lab, put a pin in the pad, trying to get this damn label on. I ain't laughing at. This is the millennium of aftermath. It ain't gonna be nothing after that. So
cue cool music for Mike's squat. Mike, tell me real quick what you think about when you walk up on the platform though for a big weight, because I think sometimes it's mental for most people.
Yeah.
Take me through that.
Yeah, like Cory said before, him squatting every day was a way for him to manage the fear of the bar. Squatting's hard. Your life is at risk. Lifting weights is dangerous. I don't know if people die, but people get hurt. People get badly injured. And having the weight on your back, a heavier weight, go from 2 plates, 3 plates, 4 plates. Everyone has that limit. That gets a little intimidating. And for Cory, it was squatting every day to get him over that. For me, it's having the confidence of doing things the right way, over and over and over. Putting in my time, following whatever program or coach I trusted myself in, gives me confidence that whatever I do at that meet, I'm prepared for. So, like I said, I've been doing this like squatting, powerlifting about 8 years. By the time I get to a meet, it's just go. So I'm getting pretty fired up in my head. That's kind of why I started this in the beginning. I think a lot of people use it as like a therapy. You can release some stress. Obviously, there's endorphins and medical things maybe Julie can teach us about, but also, it just feels good, right? It feels good to be move. It feels good to lift some weight. It feels good to exert some energy. Sometimes it's good therapy just to think about the people that told you you couldn't, people that didn't believe in you, coaches, parents, siblings, friends, whoever it might be. So I get a little emotional when I lift. And then it's just go time. Like I said, if I practice the right way, then when it's time to go with heavier weights, it's just routine.
Yeah, I think I'm like a little bit psycho. Like I like the fact that I'm on display and I have to show up. I think it's important. That's why I like to go for 10 years, I went from event to event to challenge myself. Bodybuilding show, powerlifting events. So I think I've done about 15 bodybuilding shows, probably 30 powerlifting events, a bunch of different covers and all these things, but they're all events in my calendar. So for a decade, that's created content, which is huge for you guys as you grow your business, is content, telling the story. So I go from event to event to event. And I know when we're packing our gym and people are showing up for the meets or I'm going whatever, that I don't want to be the guy that pees down my leg. I want to be the guy that shows up. Even I teach my kids, like when it's time, you might not always win, but I expect you to show up. And so you should expect that out of yourself. You guys are a leader in your community. Whatever you're doing, expect to show up. It doesn't mean that you're getting, I've had some of my best meets and got 4th in my own gym. in my own gym, because I had a bunch of West Side dudes that were retired, that could beat me on their worst day. Like, when I squatted 700, I got 4th in my own gym. It's unbelievable, but to me, but the internet didn't know that. I mean, that's, but the key is that I think that when I walk up to the bar, and Tony Ramos, who is on the board at West Side at a 2060 total, said, people are here, whether they are or not, to see the show. Are you gonna like show up today and do something they don't expect to see? And that's how I try to put myself, like, I want you guys to leave here and have real value today. I didn't drive an hour from my house to come and waste everybody's time. I expect that when you leave, you're gonna have value from what we're gonna share with you. And I think that you guys set up events and show up is big.